Federal government, private sector partner to end out-of-school children crisis.
These devices will ensure that our children are as equipped as their counterparts across the world.
Senate probes alleged USAID Boko Haram funding.
$60,000-litre petrol trucks banned from Nigerian roads effective 1st March.
Anybody who thinks they can mislead the innocent Nigeria is actually being disrespectful.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we take a look at issues of irregular migration.
Nigeria is home to more than 200 million people, making it one of the most populous countries in Africa. And if there's one thing that we know about Nigerians, it is that we love to move, whether for better job opportunities, education, or just the hope of greener pastures.
Absolutely, Victor. Migration has always been a part of our story. But there's a growing concern, irregular migration. That is when people leave the country.
Trafficking and migrant deaths to brain drain and economic losses. Irregular migration takes a heavy toll on individuals and, of course, the country.
Well, the government has tried to tackle the issue through policies like the National Migration Policy, anti-trafficking laws, international partnerships, and economic development programs. But how effective have these measures been, Victor?
That's the big question. Despite all these efforts, irregular migration is still a major challenge. Solving it will take a lot more. Addressing poverty, insecurity, and the lack of opportunities that push people.
Good morning, Jimbe. Good morning, Victor. And good morning, Nigeria. Here is the news. No Nigerian child will be out of school, no matter his or her social status. This is a commitment of the Tinubu presidency. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance during the presentation of digital learning devices to students of Government Science Secondary School, Piakasa, Abuja, by MTN Nigeria.
His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR has asked that I express his as their counterparts across the world to function effectively in a technology-driven 21st century.
The Senate has resolved to invite heads of security and intelligence agencies for a closed-door meeting as it seeks a briefing on alleged funding of Boko Haram by the United States Agency for International Development's USAID. The resolution was sequel to a motion from Senator Ali Ndume and 8 others from Borno, Yobe, Bauchi, and Ogun states.
The Senate should immediately invite the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, the Director General of the DSS, the Director General of the DIA, to brief the Senate in a closed session on the veracity or otherwise of these very serious allegations. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills Jr., says the U.S. government stands with Nigeria in its quest to completely eliminate remnants of insurgents terrorizing parts of the country. He said this immediately after a closed-door session with members of the Nigeria Governors Forum Wednesday night in Abuja.
Or have policies and procedures in place to ensure that USAID funding, any of our assistance funding, whether it comes from USAID, the Department of Defense, the State Department, is not diverted to a terrorist group like Boko Haram. There's absolutely no evidence that I have seen that that has occurred. And certainly if we ever had evidence presented to us that a program funding was being diverted to Boko Haram, we would immediately investigate, along with our Nigerian partners.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has mandated an ad hoc committee to get to the bottom of reported violence in local government area secretariats in Osun State this week, leading to some deaths. At Wednesday's plenary, the House also asked the Inspector General of Police to intervene and nip the crisis in the bud.
The present situation in Osun State may snowball into a free-for-all unless urgent actions are taken by relevant authorities. The preventable violence which happened in Osun State has led to the death of 6 persons, while scores of others have suffered severe injuries and presently receiving treatment in various hospitals.
On the need to investigate the crisis in Osun State, Honorable Idris Ahmed Wase, who serve as the chairman of the committee, they have 1 week to report back to the
Other industry concerns at a press briefing in Abuja.
People will have their own marketing strategies and how they involve in this. But like I've said, anybody who thinks they can mislead the innocent Nigerian is actually being disrespectful. Because as long as I'm concerned, Nigerians are hardworking and are quite discerning. You and I drive your cars, you have your generators at home, you have your cooking, and you can tell whether what anybody is saying is factual or not. As a responsive regulator, we will put out with transparency the information that is available to us. Indeed, the regulatory oversight we do will even avoid being too specific.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day.